In this video, we're going to show you how to convert a standard efficiency furnace to a high efficiency furnace. Now, before we get into this install, I want to talk about some of the differences, advantages, and disadvantages of standard efficiency furnaces and high efficiency furnaces. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you folks have seen my previous videos. I'm a huge proponent of 80% furnaces or anything that's very simple and standard. I love the simplicity aspect of it. But one thing I appreciate about YouTube is getting all of your feedback from all of you viewers. And I've had a lot of people say they've had high efficiency furnaces for 10, 20 years and have had next to no problems out of them. So I do think it boils down to the installation. If it was installed correctly, that's going to dictate how long that furnace is going to last. But the other thing is, sure, the components will be a little bit more expensive than an 80% furnace, but if you're a DIYer and you're comfortable with doing some of these replacement components, you can still save a ton of money even if you have to purchase a part and replace it. But at the end of the day, everyone is looking to save money, and our gas furnace and our AC are things that use a lot of energy. So we're constantly looking for ways to reduce those energy costs. And a high efficiency furnace is only going to let 4% of the unburnt fumes out of the flue, whereas the standard efficiency furnace is going to have 20% of potential heat exiting your home. Now, if we put aside the heating season and we focus on the air conditioning season, in the summer months, that variable speed motor is going to save money in that it can ramp up and slow down as needed to still keep your house comfortable but save money. So for starters, if you're wondering what furnace you have, if you see 2 or 3 inch PVC venting coming out of anywhere on the furnace, you know that you have a high efficiency furnace. Now, on the other hand, if you have a standard efficiency furnace, you'll have a metal exhaust flue that goes out. So that's considered a standard or 80% furnace. Now, there's several advantages to going with a high efficiency furnace. Number one is you can free up a lot of space in not having to go a certain way with the vent. You have to go through the roof if you have a standard efficiency furnace. You can't vent out the side of a building. Whereas with a high efficiency furnace, you can go out of the exterior of the home. You can have a nice finished concentric kit like this one, and it's able to save a lot of space. The other advantages are it can be much quieter than a standard efficiency furnace because all of the combustion is enclosed and all of that venting is going through the PVC, as well as the intake air. If you have it plumbed, it's going to pull air through the PVC, so that's going to cut down on a lot of the noise. The efficiency is a huge factor. You can get rebates from the government by installing a high efficiency furnace. So you'll actually get, sometimes it's upwards of $350, $400 rebate. And in the long run, you're going to save money. I noticed this on my gas bill just in the 1 month that we've had this furnace installed. There was a drastic change in the gas consumption. I'm gonna do a future video once we have several months under our belt and show you how much this thing has saved. The other advantage is you have clear access to your coil if you go with a high efficiency furnace, because most furnaces you can vent in either direction. So instead of having the PVC vent and intake go straight up, we can go to the side of the furnace, allowing us to have easy access to that coil if we ever need to clean or check it. Now, I want to talk about 2 different options when it comes to gas furnaces, whether you have a high efficiency or you want to replace it with a standard efficiency, and that's 2-stage gas valves and variable speed blowers. Now, these are 2 things that can significantly impact your efficiency. Again, you can get an 80% with a 2-stage variable speed, and you can get a high efficiency with 2-stage variable speed. And both of these will save you money. Now, something that I was confused about for a long time, I thought you had to do additional wiring if you wanted to install a 2-stage variable speed furnace, but you don't. Everything is contained inside the control board of that furnace. And we're gonna show you how this works on our 2-stage variable speed furnace here in just a minute. Just to kind of explain it in a nutshell, if you're raising the temperature only, say 1 or 2 degrees, it's gonna go into that single stage by default. And then if you don't have W2 connected on your thermostat, it will go through a timer of, say, maybe 10 minutes running in single stage. And then the control board will automatically say, okay, we haven't met our threshold. It's still calling for heat, so let's bump it into the 2nd stage. All of that is controlled by the control board. So no additional wiring is needed, but you can have the option of wiring in W1 and W2 on your thermostat, and your thermostat will tell the furnace what to do and kind of override what the board's natural inclination is going to be. Now, the variable speed is also controlled by the board. That has nothing to do with the furnace. It has different sensors inside the furnace that can tell it when to ramp up, when to lower it down, and it's not either one setting or another. It's completely variable speed. So that's a really big advantage when it comes to efficiency. All right, I hope you learned something from that information, but let's go ahead and get into our replacement here. Again, we're taking our old 80% standard efficiency furnace and we're gonna replace it with a 96 high efficiency two-stage variable speed furnace. Today's video is brought to you by FilterBuy, America's #1 choice for affordable quality air filters. All right, so this is the furnace we're gonna be replacing today. You guys have probably seen this before. This is my home furnace. We measured the width here. It's 14 inches. So our new ACIQ furnace is 14 inches. So what we're going to start with is we didn't glue this to the furnace because I knew that we were going to replace this furnace. We simply taped it. So we're going to untape our coil. We'll detach the return filter box here, and then we can slide this whole furnace out, and we'll show you what it looks like when we get to that stage. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and turn power off at the breaker, and then we're going to disconnect all of our electrical here. So this is the new ACIQ furnace. Now, many of you might not know this, but ACIQ is basically a rebadged Carrier or ICP product, which is a great brand. I'll show you the inside here. I love the front panels of these. They're really easy for a DIYer to open these, or anyone for that matter. Whereas, you know, a Goodman furnace, you have to take the screws out and it's just kind of a hassle. So we have our install kit here. We have the boxes for our electrical, some grommets. We have the fittings for our venting. So we're gonna show you how to do all of this. Very basic. We have our blower and our control board here. And then up here we have all of the components for the combustion. The one that's currently installed is a 60,000 BTU. This is a two-stage 40,000 BTU furnace, and I'm convinced that the furnace that was in there was oversized, and this is gonna be totally good for our house. It's 800 square feet, maybe a little bit less than 800, and I think this is gonna be a perfect fit, and it's gonna save money year after year. All right, so our breaker is turned off. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put this to normal power as if it should be on. We're gonna use our hot pen, and we're just gonna check our wires in here, make sure that nothing is beeping. And what we can also do is use this on something that is live and just make sure that this works. As you can see, it works. And then come back over here. So this is completely dead. We can disconnect all of our electrical, and then we'll move on to removing the return and the coil down here. All right, so here's our filter rack. We took that filter out, and as you can see, we have zip screws in that attach to the actual case of the furnace, and then we have silicone. So we're gonna break this bead, and then we're going to remove all of the screws on the perimeter here, and then this should separate from the rest. We're working on getting the electrical disconnected. All of that's out. Gas is disconnected. And the last step will be that guy. Oh, look, now it comes apart. Okay, push it. Oh, yes. So most of the time we'll have to strap this up, but I think this should hold. But I guess we'll see.
Oh, your supply is just gonna crash it.
Then we will have to replace it. Anyways, I'm gonna hold this up right here. All right, furnace is out. I'm gonna prop this up with something, and then we can get this furnace out and quickly slide our new furnace in. Okay, so before we slide this out all the way, what we're gonna do is measure this opening, and we're gonna cut the opening for our new furnace exactly the same, slide it in, and then we won't have to strap up this coil.
Do you have a tape measure?
All right, so we've got our markings made on the right side of our furnace for the return. So we're gonna slide this over, and we're going to show you how to cut this hole. So first of all, what we're gonna use is a unibit. Next, what we're going to be using is our turbo shears. These go on any impact gun. So as you just saw with the turbo shears, they were kind of worn out. They only have a so long of a life expectancy, but these ones are really nice because you can rotate it at any direction. So we'll show you how we can make this bend without even having to take the tool off. Install guide right there, some other bits for the PVC drain. All right, so we're ready to put this in and attach it to our return box and seal it up. So we got our new furnace in place. We just have to seal all the way around on the coil, clean the top of our filter rack, re-screw that to the furnace, and then we're going to caulk all the way around inside as well. And then this portion will be completely done. And our PVC venting is probably going to come, we'll probably just rotate this, come up and then out the exterior of the building. All right, so here's where we're at so far. We've got this sealed up and taped all the way around. And then we've got this zip screwed in and caulked. This is white caulk that's going to dry clear. So here in about an hour or so, once this dries, this will all be clear. And then we can put our door back on. Next, we're going to work on our gas line. So this was temporary. So what we're going to do is turn the gas off at the house. And then we're going to put this in. And in hindsight, probably what I'll do is actually, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put my valve right there. And then this will connect straight to the drip leg. That's going to go right here and then right into the furnace. All right, so we've got our valve there. We've got our home flex coming down. And as you can see down here, we have our drip leg. All of that has pipe dope on it. And lastly, what we're gonna do is install our home flex fitting. They say you're not supposed to reuse these, but I don't know how much truth there is to that, to be honest. If you watched my home flex video, you saw how we made this edge completely flush with a file. We pushed it inside the pipe and now this is nice and flush. So I think this is going to reseal just fine. So what we're going to do is pipe dope this side, put it on our drip leg like this, and then we can attach this, and no pipe dope goes on this fitting here. And this is supposed to be torqued down to about 80 foot-pounds. This is pipe dope that you can get at any Home Depot. You don't have to put too much on there. And you can wipe it off with a rag once you're done. And on the black pipe, this doesn't have to be super tight either. There's not a whole lot of pressure in here, but you want to make sure and hold this. If you saw it just actually moved, you don't want to put too much pressure on the gas valve because you can definitely break this piece here and you don't want that. All right, so our gas line is completely done. We just turned the gas on. We're just going to spray all of this. Some soapy water here. Nothing there. And nothing here. This home flex is awesome. If you haven't seen my other video on it, I highly recommend you check it out. There's definitely some secret tips there that you want to do, and it guarantees a leak-free seal every single time. So as you can see right there, our old wire and our old conduit, we got rid of that and we put in a new junction box here. So we've got our wiring, just basically our old wire here, and then we have a connector there. We got them wire nutted together, and then MC cable. So we're gonna put a blank cap on this right here, and then we're gonna use some fasteners to secure this, and then we're gonna come down the side of the furnace, By the way, this is all going to be our next replacement. We're going to redo the whole trunk line here, so make sure and stay tuned for that video. All right, we're going to show you exactly how to use these quick connect fittings with our MC. You can get this with a 12-2 wire, which is the correct size at Home Depot for pretty cheap. And we're going to be using this tool. It makes this job way easier. So we need to strip this back so we can put this fitting on. And before, what I would do is kind of cut that, and it would make this all wonky. But this tool, literally all you do is clamp it down, and these little teeth right here cut into the MC cable. Now that this is cut, you can see there's a little notch here. You just break it like that, and there you go. So what we're going to do here is cut this plastic off, and then we're going to use these little bushings to keep this metal edge from cutting into the wire. So we just feed that around the wire, and then you feed the tip of that into the MC, just like that, and it kind of protects it. And then the last part is really easy. We're just going to take this, feed our wire through, and just push, and it snaps in, and that's it. Now we feed this into our junction box here, and these little teeth grab, and we're just going to press in, and it snaps in, and that is the finished product. This is completely code compliant, and then we can make our connections inside our box. All of our wiring is done here, so everything is complete in the bottom portion of our cabinet. We're just gonna button up the electrical here, but if you're just replacing your furnace, I would suggest just taking a bunch of pictures of the terminals, and or even a video showing what goes where, and then just match it like for like. Mine is pretty complex because I have this fast stat and we have a dual fuel heat pump system, but whatever the case, you can just basically take a video of this and put it back like for like. All right, so we got this put on, so everything is code compliant there. The clamps that came with this, FYI, are not great. So we used worm clamps on this, and then I don't know if you can see it back there or not, but this is how it's oriented. It comes with a plastic tube if you have a left discharge, and then if not, you use this coupler with the other part of it. But in the instructions, it says to cut this in half, and we used half of it over on this side and half for the elbow. But if you were to go out, you would come out of this hole right here and then drain out. And then that's what our condensate drain looks like there, and we're going right into our condensate pump. All right, so we got all of our venting fitted. So our exhaust venting is going to have PVC glue, and this was very straightforward since it's just a straight shot outside, and I'll show you what that looks like. But we basically just drilled through this bottom plate, two 2 5/8 inch holes, and we installed a nice concentric kit out there, so I'll show you what that looks like from the outside. So the exhaust definitely needs to be glued, otherwise you will have leakage. The intake, however, you can leave without glue, because if you ever need to take this off, it's nice to have that to where it's removable. All right, so we just bumped our thermostat into heating. So it sounds like our inducer is on. It's amazing how much noise cancellation with having these and everything closed in here, how quiet it is versus while this door is open. So we have our hot surface igniter, and this should kick into first stage. So we have ignition. Everything looks really nice and blue. We're gonna check our gas pressures for our low and high, but before we do that, we're gonna test this in low and high settings and make sure that everything works. And notice how much of a difference this makes when I put this front cover on. That is wild. And especially since we have this plumbed in, previously I ran it for a little bit with this open, and you could just hear a lot of noise from the combustion process, but everything is done outside, so now it's extremely quiet. So this is the concentric kit. As you can see, we're spitting out our exhaust fumes right here. And if you look back here, this is where the intake pipe is plumbed to. So the way that we did this was we first cut our first hole with the idea that we're gonna have one next to it somewhere. So once we had this first hole and our PVC sticking out, we then put the base plate on here, and then we traced the second hole, and then we drilled the hole, and everything came together really nicely. As you can see on our Ecobee, we're running in auxiliary number 1 right now. So as you can see, we're well below 50 decibels. There's not much noise coming out of here at all. Again, this is in single stage mode. And the beauty of this is that when you're only calling for, say, 1 or 2 degrees, even if you don't have any additional wiring, your first stage will come on and it will run for a certain amount of minutes. And if it hasn't reached those 2 degrees, it will then automatically kick it into second stage. But in most scenarios, that first stage will save you a lot of gas. And when it's not super cold outside, you can run it in single stage by default and save a ton of money on gas. And as you can see, we're spitting out 103.4. This gauge, I just found out, doesn't have the third digit because it went from 99 to 01 and so forth. Now, as you can see, we have too many CFM coming out of this one vent because our ductwork is not completely finished yet, but I just wanted to show you the temperature. Once we have this split up into one vent there, one here, and we'll have one in front of the home, this we can all adjust by means of the damper, so make sure and stay tuned for that ductwork video when we redo the supply plenum. Now, if I was to go over here to the thermostat and bump this up to, say, 72, which means it would be calling for 67, 8, 9, 71, 2. That's 6 degrees now that it's calling for. See auxiliary 2, and I can hear the fan ramping up actively. So now you can see this is ramping up and our temperature will start to climb as well. All right, so our second stage has been on for probably 5 minutes now. As you can see, we've raised up to 117.5 and our fan speed is still quite a bit higher than in the single stage. This will probably continue to rise maybe to 120-ish degrees, but typically you're looking for about 40 to 50 degrees of temp rise with a gas furnace. So if it's 68 in here, that'd be 78, 88, 98, 108, 118 would be 50 degrees. So this furnace is working exactly how it should be. It's got a proper temp rise and it's going to save money in the long run. So about 53, 54 decibels, still very quiet in second stage heat. I wanted to take this opportunity to let you know about our giveaways. This unit will be part of one of the future giveaways. Typically they're valued at anywhere between $500 to $1,000. So you can join for as low as $4.99, less than a Starbucks coffee. Simply go to our homepage, hit the join button, and you will see the different tiers there. Well guys, it's as easy as that to convert your standard efficiency furnace to a high efficiency furnace. I would say the most difficult part of this project is getting the new venting, but my building was pretty easy as we were exiting right there next to the furnace. But I've helped several folks to convert their 80% to a 96% efficiency as a DIYer, and they've had great success. Now, if you want to see the installation of our dual fuel system, meaning we have a heat pump, so the outside unit can function as an air conditioner or a heater by means of the refrigerant cycle, and then we have the gas furnace as backup heat. If you want to see how we converted our system to a dual fuel system, you can check out that video right there. And until next time, you guys be safe. Later.